So here's a quick video talking about the nature of what we're trying to create here with ISupportSpace. I want to talk about centralized and decentralized infrastructures, and a lot of this research that I did around this topic to kind of come up with or to contribute to coming up with what ISupportSpace is came from a book called The Spider and the Starfish, or I may have it backwards. I tend to say it backwards sometimes. It's Starfish and the Spider. Anyways, it talks about centralized versus decentralized business infrastructures. And one of the examples in the book, it's one of the old examples. It talks about the Apache Indians and the Spanish trying to invade and conquer them. And it really speaks to, here's the Spanish with all of these resources and all of this horsepower. And when they're trying to actually stop the Indians, they kind of kept failing at it. They just kept coming back. And if you looked, the book examines this. It looks at the infrastructure of the Indians themselves and how they chose leaders, right? So traditional corporate structures, you got these leaders at the top, and they are kind of telling everybody what to do, and then in middle management, then you're sort of your peon workers. And in the Indians, when they were fighting the Spanish, and even before that, the way that they operated is they really, from the fundamental levels, they looked to the person who had the best knowledge as the leader. They didn't really have an appointed chief per se. I think the language in the book's like natum. I probably should get some notes on this if I'm going to talk about it here right now. But essentially, if that individual was killed, the leaders or the members of the tribe would just follow the next smartest guy. It was just fluid like that. That's just how it flowed. So when the Spanish tried to come in, the normal conquest is take out the home city, take out the capital, and you conquer the area, right? You demoralize the people, etc. Well, in a decentralized infrastructure, the individuals just regroup and come back, and there's not a falling apart of the infrastructure. The infrastructure is not required for the movement to continue because really it's a movement, it's a way of life. Jump forward a little bit. So two examples I'll talk about here in terms of infrastructures that have done this really well, or good examples of it in action, and that would be the recording industry, one of them anyways, is recording industry against the peer-to-peer file sharing networks, right? So here are the recording industries with billions of dollars at stake, right, or at their disposal and at stake. And here Napster comes up in the late 90s, and all of a sudden, it's a threat to their business model, and it becomes a very big threat very fast. So what do? They go off with their big arms, and they go and they sue them. And they don't just sue Napster. They sue every child and grandmother, etc., that's in the way that could be caught in that lawsuit. It made a big mess for themselves, a big PR mess for one. But worse than that, when they attacked the decentralized entity that was Napster, it caused a whole bunch more of them to actually grow up, like to sprout up. So you think about it, the book, The Spider and the Starfish, uses the analogy of a spider whose head you can cut off and the whole thing dies. And then it uses the analogy of a starfish. You cut off one arm, you get two starfish, right? Depending on the type of starfish. Some of them grow back. And a decentralized business is just that. It's sustainable in the face of fighting centralized business structures or centralized infrastructures. So what's interesting is that the more the record and music industry tended to fight peer-to-peer and fight file sharing, the more of it they caused to rise. The more people that, one, got discriminated with them and what they were doing, demanded a new model. People went off and, piracy just started to go rampant there for a number of years. And it's still, definitely out there. I think a lot of people have, well, I don't know, I won't even speak to those kind of opinions on it. But what's interesting is that the infrastructure dictated its ability to grow, to succeed, to accomplish a goal that it had set out to do. Well, the last example I'll give here in talking about decentralized and centralized infrastructures which contribute to iSupportSpace's design is that of Wikipedia. I think it was 90, there's a quote, it may be even in the book too, but I remember hearing it was in the mid-90s somewhere. It was like, if you were asked, who would you invest in? Who would you put money on if you were a gambling person? Would you put money on a group of ragtag individuals that says, they're saying, we want to put together the world's encyclopedia for free and we'll get people to contribute to it? Or would you put your money on the wealthiest software company at the time who wanted to create an encyclopedia, who was creating an encyclopedia? And that was what was going on in the 90s there between Encarta and Wikipedia. Every economist, every betting person would have told you, well, Microsoft, obviously. And what happened, right? Microsoft Encarta is no longer in their product lineup. Wikipedia is one of the most visited websites on the planet. And it's really bizarre that in the span of 10, 15 years, the kind of thinking that we all had at the time has to get reshaped by understanding the power of the crowd and understanding what type of architecture and what real desires are the motivating factors behind why people do things. So I'll cut another video, and I'm going to talk about then the motivators themselves. That's where you get into intrinsic and extrinsic. But with this, I just wanted to talk about the decentralized infrastructure and the importance of it, the importance of understanding it. One more example quick on decentralized infrastructure. Valve Corporation, which makes all sorts of wonderful games, one of them being Portal and Portal 2. Their employee handbook is very, very interesting. Now, I haven't been inside of Valve, and I don't know them extensively, although they'd be great to talk with about this idea, about this community. The employee handbook talks about how people get on projects, right? You're not actually assigned, when you get hired with Valve, you're not actually assigned to work with a project or project group. You find the group that you want to be a part of. Your desk has wheels, you wheel it on over. You find the people that you want to work with, find the projects you want to work on. So in a sense, it has a lot of these decentralized elements in how individuals manage their own time, how they communicate. So like I said, that leads to the motivation topic and why that sort of stuff happens. So quick primer on decentralized and centralized infrastructures.